So tutatembea pamoja. At this stage, I want to hand over the mic to Officer kindly speak to us. You're shocked to know your second name.
Excellency, Deputy Governor, Lreb, CC, Public Service Secretary, CHRP Patricia, and I'm just excited about this because this will enable us to go and see the child. Thank you so much, and believe and trust that they are going to do with the rest of the team. I will take this to hand over
to Deputy CEO Lreb, a good friend of many years from Ghana. Ziri Roads and Public Works, Chief Officers, Directors, colleagues, and members of the 4th Estate. Good morning. It is my pleasure to join you today for this interaction between the Lreb Preparation Committee and the 4th Estate. Mine is just to thank the Lreb Secretariat working together with His Excellency the Deputy Governor, who have been steering the arrangements for this summit. They didn't have much time, but I think they have put in a stellar performance, and we want to assure you that tomorrow and the next 2 days will be evidence of what they have been doing in the background. I'll not say much except to say that you members of the 4th Estate, we are here to interact with you. You will hear from the Lreb Secretariat and His Excellency the Governor the purpose, the import, and the functionality of the summit to be able to have you do proper and accurate reporting. Having said that, thank you very much. Allow me to invite Waziri PSM to make her remarks. Waziri, you can recognize, I think I just saw one of your colleagues, if you can. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency the Governor, Deputy Governor, CEO Lreb, our seats, my colleagues, CSCs, and all protocols of good morning. God is good all the time. Thank you. And I am excited this morning, especially that I am here among the people who write, the people who speak. That is communication. And on this occasion, as we are getting ready to host the Lreb Summit beginning tomorrow, it is a great pleasure and honor to be amongst the 4th Estate members, to know that whatever we are doing, whatever we are planning, and how we are going to execute it will all be published and aired by you. It gives us an opportunity, especially that as a county hosting this kind of event, we can project the best. Chair, I heard you mention about having to get to know this the last minute. I think we don't want to wait for occasions like this to interact. The offices are open. We need to open up our interactions. Come to the office, talk to us. Our teams are also here. I think you have visited me, so that the story continues. And on this particular occasion, I know that His Excellency is going to guide us on how the summit will capture what the theme is. I just want to echo that you are the people who will tell our story as Busia, having hosted the Lreb Summit this particular year. And I wish that we will do our best to project Busia at its best. Thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Waziri. Waziri Daktari, do you want to say anything?
His Excellency Dr. Paul Nakasotoma, His Excellency the Deputy Governor, the CEO in Lreb, Dr. Nyagaya, all the distinguished guests, good morning. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kwa majina Nando Daktari, CCM Transport Roads and Public Works. Asante.
Thank you very much, Waziri. It's now my distinguished honor and pleasure to invite Bwana Nyagaya, the CEO, Lreb, to make his remarks. Bwana Nyagaya, you will then have the pleasure to invite His Excellency the DG, who will then bring in the boss at the tail end. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, my brother. And the Council Secretary, like I said before, we knew each other many years ago. And it's my pleasure to work with him under the administration of His Excellency Governor Dr. Paul Nakasotoma. And also my pleasure to work with the Council here on this project for us. We resilience on climate change and in the presence of food security. So I think we would not have chosen a better place. My name is Lreb, as you've been told, the CEO of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And so we are privileged to have this function here, the 12th summit of the bloc. And I remember much earlier when Lreb just began, there was a similar event here. And the last event we had was in Migori about almost a year ago. We were meant to have a similar function in Bungoma, but certain reasons made it wise that we choose to see it. So that is the reason why we are here, to articulate on issues that affect the bloc. For the information of the media and those who do not know, the bloc is a composition of 12 counties, 14 counties. In other words, 14 governors. And again, I need to emphasize that it is the only bloc, apart from being the largest bloc, it is the only bloc that is fully diversified, because we have members of different political callings coming together for a common goal, a goal that is supposed to enhance economic achievement for each and every county. We looked at economies of scale on what cuts across between counties. And these are very many things. We have diseases, we have livestock diseases, we have human. And so we address ourselves to health. I hope you it is to address issues that cut across each and every county, issues that are common in nature. And so the reason we are here is to look at the effects of climate change on food security. And like I said earlier, we would have chosen a better place, because one, Lucia is of course at the border town of this country, but also it's a huge agricultural center in the bloc. And we believe strongly that we begin our journey of how to address food security from this place, then we shall have enhanced and catapult it within the entire bloc. So we are here to achieve several issues that once we meet, and the summit is the highest body of the Lreb Secretariat. We have the chair, who is His Excellency Governor Professor Peter. Thank you, I'm sorry, I actually assumed that it went off. Okay. Yeah, So I hope I won't have to repeat, but like I was saying, it is a block that is composed of 14 counties. The chair being His Excellency Governor Professor Peter Nyanyo, and his vice chair is Governor Lusaka of Bungoma. And again, I would say it is the only block that has several interests put together, but for one common goal, to address themselves on what affects each and every county, be it Busia, be it Nandi, be it Kericho, be it Trans Nzoia, Migori, it doesn't matter. What matters is what do we have in common? What we have in common is that all those counties that drain their rivers into Lake Victoria are deemed to be members of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And they have things that they share together. They share the lake, they share the rivers, they share many other things. So we are here, as I told you, to address ourselves on effects of climate change on food security within the bloc. We want to really come out strongly, like I heard my friend the chair talk about climate change. We are the first bloc that has addressed ourselves on how to mitigate on plastics. We have had partnerships. Unfortunately, we didn't attend the dinner, the pre-summit dinner where our first chair articulated it very well. Articulated it very well that this bloc actually had already created a partnership between the bloc and our experts who address themselves on coming up with alternatives to plastics. And once we get the cooperation from the national government, it's going to be the first bloc that will ensure that the law banning plastics in this country is actually implemented within the bloc, and not just that, have a manufacturing plant that can give us 100% biodegradable plastic replacements, and several other measures. And when you listen to our report after this, you will look at the milestones that we have achieved after the 11th summit, where we were very particular about sugar. And after that sugar assembly in the 11th summit, we then had a very successful sugar conference in Kakamega, the sugar conference that now has transformed those outcomes into a bill. And therefore the sugar sector is definitely going to improve. So it's not just a talk show. And even after this meeting, we shall set goals that we shall want to revisit when we get to the 13th summit. And therefore for us, we are proud that we are doing it here. And I want to confirm to you that since assuming office, His Excellency has been a champion and has stood very tall within amongst his colleagues. And that informs why we thought that this 12th summit, we need to take it to a place where we have seen not just leadership but interest. For your information, our governor here in Busia is also the champion of menstrual hygiene. And it was totally deliberate for us as a bloc and as between him and his colleagues and the first spouses, because it's the only bloc that has association of first spouses, deliberately chose a man and a gentleman that has passion, that understands why it is not shameful for you as a man to walk into the supermarket, buy products that belong to your sister, your wife, your daughter, and put them in that bag, go and pay for them, and take them home as part of your shopping. So we have so much that I don't want to take time now here today to just brief you that we are ready for this summit. We are definitely going to deliver. We have worked pretty well with my co-chair, His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Abba Odera. And on that note, I wish to take this opportunity to thank you for coming in votes, and I'm sure we are going to achieve our goals together as united. I therefore want to take this time to cordially invite the co-chair and the deputy governor, Excellency Arthur.
Your Excellency, Dr. Lreb, Governor of this county and also Lreb this year, the CEO of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, and all my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the fourth estate, good morning. This should have happened 3 weeks ago, this media breakfast. We wanted it to happen 3 weeks ago. We wanted it to be timely, we wanted to give you all the information we want. We wanted you to be equipped so that you also do your business, because your business is to inform. Unfortunately, we couldn't. And I apologize for that as co-chair on behalf of all my colleagues. But now we are here. We apologize for the lateness, but we are also here to ensure that we are able to share with you information, ambition, aspiration, all the things that we want to achieve in this summit. And it's important that you know what this summit aims to achieve. And I've listened to comments from your chairman, Abuje, and a fair comment, chairman. And I know you're producers of media, but I'm sure you're also consumers of media. Those of us who are consumers of media know that we are living in very, very tough economic times. In fact, this summit, were it not for the courage of our governor to just say we will host it, in other circumstances, maybe it would not have happened. We are living in very tough economic times. In fact, in terms of the circumstances and the difficulty, this would be the most difficult summit to be held since Lreb started. But here we are determined, we have the full support of our governor, and we are going to deliver summit nonetheless. So fair comment, Chairman. The problem is, circumstances, we had planned a very robust engagement with local media. Talk shows in radio stations, adverts in local languages across the county, but we couldn't pull it off. Now, circumstances are such that you can only do the bare minimum and make sure that the summit is delivered nonetheless. So it's not by design, it's just that we couldn't simply do it because of circumstances. Now, as I draw to the end, how many of us here have absolutely no interest in this county? But the fate of the county does not matter to you. Put up your hand. Anybody? Okay, how many of us have an interest? All of us, except these ones. So, all of us have an interest in this country. This is our country. Whether you are born here, whether you live here, whether you work here, the fact that you are here today means you have an interest in this country. And as we deliver a summit for the Lake Region Economic Bloc, the 14 counties, we have an abiding interest as Busia County. Now, tomorrow, till Friday, and thereafter. We have a brand building responsibility to build the brand of our county. We have a marketing responsibility to market what's available in this county. And we have an opportunity to host people who we want to come back again and again and again. So as media, because you have an interest, this summit is as much your summit as it is the governor's summit, as it is the Lreb summit, as it is the summit of the organizing committee and all the county colleagues who are here. So I want to ask you, because it is your county, let us make it attractive as possible to those who will be here, those who will be hearing stories from those who will be here, so that they come back and they create business opportunities and employment for our people. Having said that, may I now ask all of us to please stand as we welcome the Governor of Busia County, His Excellency. Karibu Governor.
Please let's be seated. Asanteni sana. Good morning, everyone. Karibuni. Let me say it is a good day again, once again to meet
the members of the Fourth Estate, and you will allow me to delve in the matters that are before us, which is basically hosting the Lake Region Economic Bloc in this great county of ours. So let me ride on all the protocols that have already been established. And I want to say that as we meet here today, we are also kicking off our Lreb Summit, 12th Summit, which will be kicking off tomorrow. That is Wednesday at Lreb University in Busia. I want to welcome all this to the summit to cover this event that is crucial, not just for the Lake Region Economic Bloc, as already stated, the 14 counties and the 15 million Kenyans that inhabit that region, that we are meeting to discuss matters affecting us as a region, of course led by our chair, who is Professor Nyanyong, the governor of Kisumu. And we also will have opportunity to invite our other colleagues who will want to know what is happening in this part of the country, which almost holds a quarter of Kenya's population, if you look at it. And in terms of economic potential, it has got coffee, tea, cassava, groundnuts, cotton, fish, all that are products that are produced within this Lake Region Economic Bloc. And I'm sure, as I mentioned them, you're aware of what Kenya is responsible for. And more so like for Busia, where we happen to sit on the border, which we call the gateway to East and Central Africa, that again serves almost another population of 400 million people within the East and Central African region. One of the biggest potential block areas in Africa, and which some of us are still looking forward, that the dreams of our fathers are going to expand the East African Economic Bloc to include other countries that will make this bloc almost have a population of 500 or so million people. Those who have been reading the economic surveys, you are aware that they say that that can be one of the most viable economic organization in the world if that is going to be pulled through in terms of integration. You're also aware that this year's theme is about food security in the face of climate change, building partnerships towards resilience among communities in the Lake Region Economic Bloc, offers us a platform to leverage on one of the most productive areas of Kenya's economy through common market orientation and improve livelihoods of our people. Climate change is here with us, and when we talk about climate resilient activities, it is no longer theoretical. If you look at even the theme of this year's meeting that took place in Baku, Azerbaijan, we have got serious issues on climate change that we need to address. First of all, is just to safeguard our own survival. That's why we are talking about food security. We are not even just talking about other economic activities that are agriculture related, but just our own survival. Air, water, and food. If our basic geography, not geography, biology serves us well, those are just the basic things that we need to survive. How long can you survive without water? Abuja, a human being can survive for how long without water? Amujui? Who knows? I doubt if you can manage 7 days. How many? 7 days. For men, 7 days. I've had somebody say 4 days. I think that one is not very far. Normally, I think it's 3 days. And you have Google nowadays, information is available. 3 days without water, there will be no humanity. So that is how vital it is. What about air? Very few of you can hold the air for 5 minutes. I don't know what to say. But on average, please do your homework and see. That is how vital the environment is about our own survival. You can imagine, without air, just a few minutes. Without water, at most, those who are strong enough, maybe 3 days. And what about food? How long can you go without food? How many? You want to be Jesus? So, anyway, do those homeworks, because those are the realities when we talk about climate change and when we talk about resilience. Because we are trying to say that despite all these, how do we build up resilience to be able to mitigate on climate change effects and to still safeguard our livelihoods. Dear members of the Fourth Estate, as this year's theme deliberately advocates for adoption of measures that insulate us against the vagrancies of climate change by implementing climate change resilient agricultural initiatives involving, of course, crop husbandry, livestock development, agroforestry, among others. It is worth noting that the entire Lreb region, especially Sea and Busia, have relatively very low forest cover. Not just in the region, but in Kenya. What is the forest cover for Busia? Or let me not say forest, maybe tree cover. We'll try and visit this gentleman, and if he has done that, then all of us need to give him thumbs up because of the situation that we are in. There are also some key issues that you will confront in your news reporting as you map out your story angles for the coverage of this 3 days event. I'm reliably informed by the steering committee that has organized the event that there will be no shortage of news sources. But as you have already said, we can decide to concentrate on what we want to achieve. But we can also again decide to concentrate on the hurdles that we are facing. So the choice sometimes is ours, that despite adversities, despite the challenges, we must deliver. You have been told we are going through very hard economic times, but these issues are also so critical that we say we can't postpone. This meeting would have been in Bungoma, but Busia stepped in because we believe it is so vital for us as an economic bloc to contribute to what Kenya needs to achieve. Coming just on the backdrop of again the climate change meeting in Baku just 2 weeks ago, to have postponed this as a region will not be the right thing, and that's why we decided that despite the challenges, let's carry on. I want again just to state that as members of Fourth Estate, your main job again, you normally inform the public, you train the public, you forecast the public. If today we are all saying that we don't want plastics as a region, how you report that, how we interact with that, how we train our people through that, that is what is going to make us be able to achieve. And we always say, despite the problems that we have, there's always time for everything. This time, just let us make it time to come up with climate resilient activities and information that is going to help our people. Politics may be there, other issues may be there, but please let us focus on issues of how we can mitigate on areas of climate change and how adversely it's affecting us. And Lastly, I just want to say that we will be interacting during this conference summit. There will be various thematic areas. We know that main theme is about food production in a climate resilient manner. But we are also aware that we have got so many other livelihoods and opportunities that this interaction is going to be offering us. In Busia here, one of the major programs and ambitions that we have had is what we were calling revitalizing agriculture in wards, reorganizing our productivity. And I like saying that the economic prosperity of a people or a culture depends on the productivity of its citizens, of its people. You can find even where there are challenges, so long as the people are productive and they are focused, you will be able to achieve something even in adversity. And in Busia here we can do that. We had some challenges with the rains, but the rains are now here with us. If we lost our beans, I know our beans didn't do very well, but our sweet potatoes can do well because those are short-term crops. So it is an issue of how we refocus quickly. Our vegetables, especially the traditional vegetables, can do very well because they only take a very short period. So we can now not come in and say that since we lost beans, we will not be able to produce other traditional crops that we can do. And this is the kind of information that I'm trying to say. You adapt. And they always say that you either adapt or you become extinct. I used to share this phrase several times some years back, that there was a time in this world some animal called a dinosaur. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. But you know, dinosaur and cockroaches existed at the same time. Those of you who are good students of history, you can check that. The cockroaches that you see around existed in the era of dinosaurs. But why are cockroaches still around and the dinosaurs are not there? And I'm sure during that time of dinosaurs, you know, they were the biggest, the most domineering. Now what was the difference between the dinosaur and the cockroach? Huh? Huh? No, but what has made cockroaches exist up to today and the dinosaurs are not there?
Feeding.
Yeah? Yeah? It is the ability to adapt. Ability to adapt. Cockroaches adapt very quickly, and that's why they have outlived the dinosaurs. And yet a cockroach must have looked so tiny in the face of a dinosaur. So in short, what I'm trying to say is that if we are able to adapt, just like we are talking about building, food security through climate resilient activities that we are going to do, then you will find that we can still thrive despite those adversities. So I just want to tell again, the media, please help us with that. There is another issue that I think has not really been captured properly. The issue about carbon credits. And this is one area that I think the media, you can again help us make our people understand this. There are quite a number of activities happening, but sometimes we are just spectators, or we even don't know what is happening. We are not able to tap into these global funds that are supporting carbon credits. And yet, some of our regions hold the best, what we call carbon sinks, and we are supposed to be paid. If you look at the Yala swamp, it has got one of the largest carbon sink potential, or even currently what is happening there. But you look at it like we are getting nothing. But there will be activities around it that we are not aware. And I've seen it. People who come from abroad establish some business activities that look like private business activities. But if you look at it, a lot of them are beneficiaries of carbon credit. And yet the local communities, we are not able to get that. And this is some of the things that if we talk about building climate resilient activities, it is going to help us benefit from those kind of resources that are being availed by the biggest polluters in the world, and we who are able to mitigate on that. The issue about the blue economy in this area, in the face of climate change, we have also a lot of potential. Blue economy does not just mean aquaculture. Blue economy means that wherever there are water bodies, the activities that we can generate, be they tourism, sports, cage farming, this has got potential to unlock economic activities that are environmentally friendly. I used to tell people that, you know, the good thing about keeping fish does not utilize a lot of water. Fish just lives in water. It just stays in water. But in terms of environmental conservation, it is one of the best practices, because what will happen that fish does not like polluted environment. Immediately you start seeing polluted environment, you will see your fish dying. That's why you have been seeing us having these problems in Budalangi about what they call caniron or upwelling. It just means lack of oxygen because of the pollution. So it's a big indicator. And the other day, for some of you whom we were with in a meeting to try and see how best to mitigate, we found out that quite a bit of our lake shores are dead. Dead means that there is no oxygen because of pollution. Now, how do we build resilient methods to mitigate on that? Those will be some of the outcomes that we'll be expecting outside this conference. And lastly, as we get, I'm told that we are expecting almost 2,000 people. If that is going to happen, then you can also imagine in terms of marketing the Lake Region Economic Bloc, and also even our own county, in terms of abilities for people to see what they can invest in, what potential is here in agriculture, in our economic processing zone that is coming up in Nasewa, in our industrial parks that are coming up, in our dry ports in Malaba that are coming up, potential to do trailer parks. The other day you saw that it became a regional problem when we were trying to enforce a law that had been passed by the Assembly in terms of entry fee for trailers, because we are saying we are offering you services. You can't be in our place here for 48 hours and you say that there is no service we are offering. Because as I have told you here, you must eat, you must pollute somehow, you must be doing certain things, and we must clean them up. We must provide you security. We must give you lighting wherever your trailers are. And when we say, please give us a small fee, you say there's nothing we are offering. But how can you park in a place for 2 days and say that you have not polluted something? So let's umeenda somewhere, some sanitation activities, and those are services we are offering you. So you must pay us something small, and I believe we are going to be changing that and see how best to serve those people. But it's also telling us that we have got opportunity to help. If these people don't have sanitation areas, then basically they become polluters. So let me finish by saying we welcome you to Busia. We welcome you to Lake Region Economic Bloc. As you come here, don't just participate in the summit alone. Also sample the Western Circuit, tourism circuit, starting all the way from Nandi Hills, Lambwe Valley, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Busia, Bungoma. There's a lot of potential in terms of the Western Circuit. When you're in Busia here, be aware that you can do water sports on Lake Victoria, you can climb our hills, you can go to Kakapel and see the oldest stone art that has been discovered recently. It's one of the oldest actually in Africa if you go to areas of Kakapel. So have opportunity to sample that. Visit our industrial parks in Nasewa, see what opportunities are going to be there, because we are going to be supplying reliable source of energy. We will have potential to build schools there, set up business centers, do the infrastructures there. There's a lot of potential because the export processing zone needs to serve the whole region. So when you are here, don't just concentrate on the summit alone. Please make sure that our visitors are able to sample. Go to Budalani and see what we are trying to develop, the 20,000 acres of rice farming. That is going to make this region one of the biggest producers of rice if we pull that through. Look at the investment in aquaculture, in cage farming, in the whole lake that we already have there. Look at the potential to put up hotels for tourism, for recreation in this area. That's the potential that we'll be offering you, other than just visiting the summit and living here. And of course, more important is sampling the culture of people here, interacting with them, seeing how friendly some of our people can be, and just knowing people. Maybe visit some of the homesteads, look at what is happening. That is the kind of potential that I'm saying will be possible on the sideways. So usikuje tu kwa mkutano and as if you're in a classroom, have